council meeting of Wednesday, September 6th, 2023. Item number 2, adoption of agenda 2.1, recommendation that council adopts the agenda. I get a seconder? Councillor Whittle, thank you very much. All those in favor? Unanimous and carried. Item number 3, adoption of minutes. 3.1, recommendation that council adopts the minutes from the regular council meeting held on August 16th, 2023. Can I get a seconder? Councillor Wall, thank you very much. Councillor Rabble?
One tiny thing. Just in my report under the South Peace Health Services Society one, I just was also wanting to emphasize that Boltry House offers accommodation to those, either at the hospital, essentially those who require accommodation with supportive care. That's really all I was looking for.
So you just like to make an edit to your...
Just a tiny addition under the last line, attended the South Peace Health Services Board meeting, just adding that the Boltry's House offers accommodation to those requiring assistance and care.
Then when you're done, I just got something to add as well. All right, and then Ms. Stokes, under recommendation number 2, it says 2 opposed, though then underneath it says all in favor. Yeah, so under recommendation, hang on, sorry, under recommendation 2, the council adopts the minutes. It says carried 3 in favor, Council Rabble opposed, and then it says carried unanimously. So it wouldn't have been carried unanimously because Council Rabble was opposed. Oh, yes, we'll you can make that correction. That would be great. So, any other items anybody noticed? Okay, so all those in favor of accepting those minutes with the changes? Unanimous and carried. Thank you very much. All right. Item number 4, introduction of late items. None. Public hearings. None. Delegations. None. Unfinished business and a business arising from the minutes. None. Item number 8, new business. 8.1 recommendation.
The council received the draft Christmas house light contest policy for discussion.
Can I get a seconder? Councillor Rabble, thank you. Okay, and discussion? Councillor Wall?
So under point 3, I'm just curious about the background of why we'd like to have people register with the village office. I quite like it the way it is, where we just kind of go around and look.
Ms. Stokes?
So first of all, this is a draft. This is not in stone. That's why I put things in here, because I need your feedback. How would you have people vote if we don't know where they're voting? So council asked for there to be an option for people to vote online. If we're going to have like online voting then people are going to have to register because we're going to have to know what houses to go get pictures of. You can't have a unanimous, otherwise we're going to have tons and tons of people just flooding our thing with, oh, I vote for this house, I vote for this house. Whereas we need to have some way to keep track. So if we have house number 1, house number 2, house number 3, unless you've got a way that we can do this. Like I said, this is a draft. I'm looking for help.
Well, I think the other concern there too is that if the winner accepts putting their house on the village Christmas card, they probably would like a bit of notice as well, right? So that's where my thinking was there. Councillor Whittle?
I think the other advantage to having people register too is it gives us that ability to put together for like the Village Voice, put together like a little map, like a Christmas tree light up map or whatever. Because I know other years there's been people looking for those or asking for them, like for Dawson and that kind of stuff. And I know that's something we've done with kids in the past is we've taken the map and driven around and look at everything. So I think having people register is a good idea.
Councillor Wall?
I appreciate your comment there, Ms. Stokes. That is good clarification for me. Another thing is, in this policy, we allow winners to win 2 years in a row?
There'd be no limit.
No limit?
Well, right now there isn't, unless council wanted something in there that stated that you can't win more than 2 times in a row. I think if you're doing a council vote and a public vote, I think it's fair for people, and especially since there's so many rentals, you never kind of know what or who.
And then my other concern with that, Ms. Stokes, was that, with it being council and the community, what are the odds that council and the community would pick the same house?
You're the best, you're the best.
Yeah, so that was the other thing I was sort of thinking, is like, there may be a bit of an issue if,
But we have two prizes, right?
yeah, so both,
Council's picking one.
okay.
Residents are picking the other.
So it could very easily, both prizes could go to the same house?
No,
No, okay, that's what I'm wondering.
okay, so I was asked about that, and I think we should stipulate that the same house can't win both prizes.
Yeah.
What we had suggested was when council picks, we'll take the first two, the two
Mhm.
highest votes or whatever,
Mhm.
and if you guys happen to pick, if the residents and council picks the same one, then we'll go to the next one.
To the next one.
Yeah.
Okay, that was my only question with that. Sorry about that, Councillor Wall, you had a comment?
Oh, I was just gonna comment on there saying, with the 2 years, or 2 years in a row thing, that I didn't see it in here, but I know that was a previous discussion we were having, I just wanted to make sure that it was purposely not.
Is
in
that
there.
something council wants back in there, that you can't
No.
win 2 years in a row, or?
And it makes more difficult, I think.
If you put that much time and effort in, you should be able to win every year.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, any other, Councillor Rebel?
For 6, with judging being done through at that second week of December, so it's just open for a week for judging, and
So it gives people the first, like the end of November, beginning of December, and then voting would be the second week, so that we could present the prize the third week. That way people have the prize for Christmas.
Councillor Wall?
I put the motion on the floor to adopt this policy as presented with the change of, that the public and the council decision cannot be the same.
So it would go to the runner-up. Okay.
runner-up of which, council or community?
Maybe whichever runner-up is next.
What does it matter?
If I may, let's say both chooses it, and the second for both are different. Which second do we choose?
Well, if the
Oh, I
community.
see what you're
yes.
saying, okay.
Both first happens to be the same, but the seconds for either
Well,
community
I
or
think-
council.
Highest
I
number of votes?
I think the
Yeah.
community should be, like, theirs should be
One.
the first,
Yeah.
like the top, so if they choose that one and we both choose the same, then we'll choose the runner-up of councils.
Well, what I was thinking was we would take the first two, so, okay, council picked, and that one got 98 votes, or 5 votes from council, and from the community, this one got 10 votes from, so those are the two highest, okay, that one got the first prize. Then you would go to the next highest
Okay.
amount of votes, right?
For our choice, it's also our choice, we can just pick whichever one we think is better.
The one twinkly light on a house.
Yeah.
Like a light bulb.
Flickers.
Okay. Is that
I
your
think
brain?
that's something you can figure out internally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
We have the gist of the rules here, and,
okay.
right? And
Well-
then they just can't win the same.
Councillor Wall has a motion on the floor, can I get a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councillor Whittle, thank you very much. And so, yeah, no, I think that that's something we can sort of figure out as it goes, it might not be an issue we really have to worry about, so. Councillor Rebel?
I concur with you though. I concur with the chair. Sorry.
You're good.
Anywho, basically, I think that the communities, if they pick number one, they pick number one. If councils happen to be one, then council gets 2. Right? I think that would just clean it up, and then we
Yeah.
don't have to really worry too much about it. Because then we don't want to make this confusing. The idea is
Yes.
to get away from confusing and streamline.
It's been so confusing for so long, yes.
I think that might just iron it out.
I'm happy with that suggestion.
Okay, so, how would we, I know, Ms. Stokes, like, I have no idea what the suggestion was. Basically, if by chance we choose the same house, council chooses the council and the community choose the same house,
Yeah.
then the runner-up for council is the one that gets second prize. So we'll make the community's pick priority, and then the council's pick secondary.
Okay.
Same prize though.
Yeah.
It's just somebody doesn't get $600.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
all good? Okay, all those in favor? Unanimous and carried. I was gonna like say your motion, and I totally forgot what it was, so I was just like, please tell me you guys remembered it, word for word, because I've forgotten. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, 8.2 recommendation.
That council approves the Christmas holidays for office closure, for December 22nd, 27th, 28th, 29th of 2023.
Can I get a seconder? I'll second that. Okay, Councillor Wall?
I'm totally fine with the week of Christmas, between Christmas and New Year's being closed. I'm just curious what the idea is with the 22nd there on the previous Friday.
Is that a Friday? I don't have my calendar. Okay, thank you.
Like, I don't know if it's a staff thing or.
No, I'm assuming
It's
it's
just staff asking for that time off.
yeah, it's just been asking for that time. I know, Councillor Woodall, you're probably about to answer exactly what I'm about to answer.
So, through you, Madam Mayor, to Ms. Stokes, does staff have accrued vacation time that they need to use up? And was this the intent of the 22nd, was to use up some accrued
To
vacation
try and
time?
use some of the time that they're owed.
Oh, so that'll be vacation time?
So we don't, people use their vacation time or their bank time to take these days off. This is not something that the village is giving to them free.
Okay. Yeah, I think some of our staff.
Everyone kind of banks 5 days for the end of the year to spend
That's actually
Christmas.
smart.
It gives you time to travel and go see family and stuff.
Yeah, okay. Okay, any other discussion? Councillor Rebel?
Oh, sorry. Obviously this happens every year. I'm just, there's obviously gonna be considerations made if there's, you know, a need to get a hold of somebody for
Oh,
something.
always.
Well, look what happened with the water last year.
Well, that's my only concern is that, you know, there's on-call people.
If we get more than our 6 inches of snow, Public Works comes in and removes it, and if we're needed in here, if there's an urgent issue, one of us will be here.
Wonderful.
Councillor Woodall?
Yeah, so I know this is, from my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Stokes, but this is something that we do every year, comes back to council to approve these days. Couldn't we look at for next year, building this as a policy, much like we have, or adding this to our events policy that we have for other holidays and like sort of like the Canada Day policy? So that it's a standing policy, so that it doesn't, you know, essentially waste your time and waste our time to go through the motions every single year.
Councillor Will, is that a motion?
I'm just asking if
It
it's something.
is, I'm just trying to figure out how you word it, because what we do is we look at the calendar and because the dates always change.
Yeah, they always change.
The stats always change, so the days off always change, and sometimes you only need 3, sometimes so we can look at it.
Do you need a
Let me-
motion to look into it?
Yes, please.
Alright, so I'll make the motion that staff looks into a policy for Christmas holidays.
Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Wall, thank you very much.
And it gives you a little breather to deal with it.
We actually have 2 motions on the table right now.
Okay,
Yeah,
so-
we already signed the motion.
Yeah, I know, we're doing this to you again, I'm so sorry. So, all those in favor of Councillor Whittle's motion to look into the policy?
Sure.
Unanimous and carried, thank you. All those, any more discussion on 8.2? Okay, all those in favor of recommendation 8.2? Unanimous and carried, thank you very much. All right. Oh, I thought I just closed the wrong tab. I know. 8.4 recommendation.
8.3.
Oh, 8.3 recommendation, thank you.
That council decided if they would like administration to start planning an old-fashioned Santa Claus parade.
Second.
Seconded by Councillor Whittle, thank you very much. Councillor Whittle?
Yeah, so, I brought it up a while back, actually, I think you 2 gentlemen weren't here when I brought it up, is that we never did the fireworks for Canada Day. And I think it'd be something to look at potentially, cause you know, the fire risk should be pretty low, hopefully. That if, we move forward with staff planning, the Santa Claus, the old-fashioned Santa Claus parade, that if we can potentially include the fireworks into that.
Do you need a motion on the floor for that, Ms. Stokes?
Yeah, let's do a motion, just.
Yeah,
let's do
So
a
I'm
motion.
sorry for doing another motion.
I know, I think it would
How
just
about we
be,
do this, vote on the first motion first, and then
Do we wanna do it?
make it, don't make an amendment, just make another motion after.
okay.
Okay, so first one is, do you want us to start planning the old-fashioned Santa Claus parade?
So I have a quick question. So did we budgeted the 2,500 for last year too? Hey, was that the same amount as the one we had last year?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Yeah, that's typical for it. That's what I thought. I thought it was more, but I was wrong. Ms. Stokes?
However, if you want the fireworks, then our budget's going to be up. So let's do this first one first.
No, because,
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
never mind.
yeah, it's already been budgeted once.
Okay,
Okay, any more discussion on staff moving forward with planning the Santa Claus Christmas Day thing?
Just a comment.
Yeah.
I think it's great. I love it. I think it's wonderful to see
Yeah.
everyone come out. The definite thing though, it was so darn cold. I wonder if there's a possibility to get some sort of sponsor to have like propane lamps or something. That would be
stand near the fire.
The fire is good,
We
but
are
it
northern
it's only
Canadian,
here,
yeah.
or you want some around you.
With global warming,
If
more
you're
about
gonna
this.
work, you gotta stand by the fire, or go in the fire hall.
No, I think it's wonderful though. All the kids coming out, all the families coming
Yeah,
out.
it's
It's really great. Yeah.
All right, all those in favor? Unanimous and carried. Councillor Whittle, you're up.
Make a motion that we take the fireworks budget from Canada Day that was unutilized and we add that to the Santa Claus, budget.
All those, seconded by Councillor Wall, thank you. Discussion? All those in,
Oh, wait.
oh, yes, Councillor Wall.
So a few comments that I received last year from Canada Day with the fireworks up on the hill is a lot of people didn't really know where they were and then they scrambled to like find a spot to see them.
And there's like pew 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 pew.
Yeah, yeah. If we could have the fireworks closer to the center of town where the parade is, no.
I think there's an issue with that
It's
about,
called a fire hazard, and the fire chief is not comfortable doing them down in town.
but there's snow everywhere.
Fire chief, would you like to?
The fire
respond?
chief could aim the fireworks at me.
In my opinion, on the hill, you have such a broad area because it's so high up in the air.
Mm.
That half of the community doesn't even have to leave their house. They can actually just look out their front door, back door.
I know, didn't we one year do it in that empty lot next to said fire department?
No.
No,
That's
no.
entirely fair.
Could we potentially do it in
No.
fire
That's a
department?
safety hazard.
He's literally wide-eyed shaking his head no. Okay. Is that question? Councillor Rabble?
Because it might be like minus 30 or 40. Is there concern having people hike all the way out there and try to
Nobody
Sit
hikes in the
inside.
winter here, we all
This is the
drive.
north, they're gonna drive and sit in their car and
Okay.
walk their cars. You really gotta get with the northern, not city,
No,
northern.
we really need to adapt you both.
No,
I think Councilor Rabble can walk up there. the rest of
The
us-
rest of us will sit in our cars with
Set
hot
up the
chocolate.
fireworks, yeah.
Okay, all right, any other comments or concerns? All those in favor of Councillor Whittle's motion, yes, I do unanimously carried. I normally say that, but my brain is like actual garbage today, I'm so sorry. 8.4 recommendation.
Council receives the report on Canada Day for information.
Can I get a second? Councillor Rabble, beat you to it, Councillor Whittle. I just wanted to make the comment and say, amazing job done by our staff. You guys are so awesome. Thank you so much for the work that you put into this event, and not only the planning, but the fundraising. And I cannot wait to see what you're gonna do with next year, seeing as you're gonna have so much extra time. I just, like, I couldn't believe that did we break even, or did we technically make money? Yes. We technically made money for next year? That's amazing. Wow, you guys are just, I was speechless. I was like, am I reading this right? Did we make money for our Canada Day budget next year? That's phenomenal. So I know it was one amazing staff member who was calling everybody and she was rocking it in her sales pitch in there. She should do radio. Anyway, she was kicking butt and she's actually made money for our event for next year. So thank you so much to her and all of her calling. That was phenomenal. That's so well.
With the great success of this year's event, I can just imagine how fantastic next year will be if we put together some sort of policy to find sponsors and things like that. Start that process as soon as possible after budget season.
I need to make a mention about policies. We don't need any more policies, okay? You guys are policy happy, I'm sorry, but I'm saying it on camera.
Do we have a policy that we don't need to know policies?
What kind of policy do you want for Canada Day?
Just something I was thinking about is if we start, or maybe not a policy, but if we start as soon as possible, then we're not scrambling near the end, right? Like we start planning next year's Canada Day now.
okay, you have 4 people in the office and there's 2 dedicated to events.
Mhm.
And that puts a lot of pressure on our staff if you're gonna start us doing things now.
Mhm.
Okay, we've got budget coming up, we've got Santa Claus parade, we can't start planning a Canada Day parade when we're gonna be planning a Christmas parade. We don't
When-
have that kind of staffing.
Oh, my point is not, because last year I know it was super scrambled, you guys had
Mhm.
less than a month to basically put together a whole celebration and it worked
Yes,
out
but
really
if
well.
we know in advance that we are the ones that are going to be planning Canada Day, there won't be this scramble. We had a few issues with Canada Day this past year,
And so, and
if nobody
I'm just trying to give as
remembers.
much time as possible so that
So then
staff has as much
council,
time as they need to work on it.
so then council should make a decision now. Is it the village that's gonna plan Canada Day? Or are you gonna try and put it out to volunteers again next year? And are we gonna go through the same fiasco we did with,
I think
that's
this,
why it was so rushed last year.
I think this was such a success with staff doing it, that I think it would make sense for, oh, there goes our fire chief. It was such a success that maybe, yeah, now would actually, potentially what you're saying, Councilor Wall, is put the motion on the floor maybe now, that staff are going to be the ones planning it for next year, and then you're right, they'll have more than enough time
Well,
to
you
start
make the
it.
decision one way or the other
Yeah.
today, and then
I
we
think-
know where
yes.
we're going, and everybody has time to.
Absolutely. So do you wanna put that motion on the floor,
I have a
or?
question for staff first.
Oh, yeah.
So, does staff have the time, in your opinion, Ms. Stokes, to run another Canada Day? Or do you think it could overburden our capabilities for next year?
If council decides that they want staff to do Canada Day and they decide today or in the next month or 2, we've got lots of time.
Okay.
We don't have lots of time when we make decisions in March or April or May. When we're getting in, so you know, you remember everything we went through this past year, we were gonna put it out to somebody to do and that kind of fell through, and so the staff here worked really hard to get it all done, but because you're giving us so much notice now, Canada Day is like 10 months away, we've got plenty of time and they won't be as rushed to try and, get everything that.
Councilor Ravel?
Okay, so spectacular job. It speaks to our staff, it speaks to our community, it speaks to our sponsors that this was, such a successful event. Giving, staff the direction that, hey, this was a success, maybe we do it in-house next year. But I did have a few people, around that said, hey, I'd love to contribute, I'd love to have these ideas, some people had some critiques, and so I invite those people to contribute their time and efforts. So I want to also not only say maybe yes to staff, but then also leave a door open for those who wish to, bring in ideas, bring in volunteer hours as well.
Yeah, it's different, so there's 2 different things. If they're bringing in ideas, that can be overwhelming. If they're bringing in volunteer time, well, we're always accepting volunteer time.
We're always accepting suggestions and ideas for Canada Day. So what I would encourage all of council to do is if you have people approaching you saying they want to volunteer or they have an idea for Canada Day, get them to either phone the office or get them to email info@uskoopy.ca.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that'd be great.
And label it Canada Day, and then those who are organizing Canada Day can reach out to these people and say, what's your idea, where would you like to help? We have, yeah.
So the door's always
Oh
open.
yeah, it's always. The more we can offload on everybody else, the easier it is on all of us.
So Councilor Wall, would you like to put a motion on the floor for the staff?
Well, I'm just thinking at the moment, should we reach out to see if anybody wants to do it?
No.
We've done that so many times.
We've done that 2 years in a row, and it's both times, it has resulted in us planning it at the last minute.
Yes.
Okay, well, I've only been here for 1.
All right.
Been here for 2.
I put the motion on the floor that we have staff plan next year's Canada Day.
Seconded by Councilor Woodall. Thank you very much. Discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous and carried.
Members, just before you go.
Oh, yes?
So I just want to give a shout out to our sponsors for the Canada Day that we had this year. So the Longhorn for just supplying porta potties and generators, Energetic Traffic Control for the flaggers, Quality Safety for their medics, Co-op for the cookies, the dunk tank, and all the other community partners that came out to make it a big success. And yeah, that's all I want to say.
Thank you. Wonderful job, guys. Thank you so much.
And especially to staff. 'Cause
Yeah, they rocked it. All right, 8.5 recommendation.
That council approves the application of the UBCM Grant 2023 Volunteer and Composite Fire Department's equipment and training, and, if funded, agrees to provide grant management.
Seconded by Councillor Whittle. Thank you very much. I have a question for staff. If we don't get the grant, would we still have to go forward with purchasing this unit? No.
Oh,
Yes, because that's the
it's
only
like a
thing.
grant thing sometimes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Ms. Stokes?
So this is a grant that we actually brought forward to council, last year. And we had to back out of the grant application because we did not have our fire department service level
Established.
stated on
Yeah.
paper. So this is why I brought service level. Now I want, the fire chief would like to reapply for this grant this year.
And so if we get the grant, we can go forward with purchasing it, but if by chance we don't, we can hold off to reapply for another year.
Yes.
There's no commitment there on behalf of the village?
No.
Wonderful, that's all I want to know. Councillor Wall?
I think looking for any sort of money for a fire department is essential, and, I don't think it's ever a bad idea applying for grants, honestly, if we have a chance of getting them.
Yeah,
I know it
exactly.
takes time and effort.
Unfortunately, now with grants, what has to happen is we have to, figure out the grant, have a plan in place, we have to get a council motion specifically. Years ago, we did, like a blanket motion for grants, that council approves all grants, and 2 years ago, they said, no, it has to be per grant. So what we do is we come up with a plan, we figure out how much it is, and we bring the report to you guys and say, okay, well, this is what we can do, and are we okay to do it?
Okay, Councillor Whittle?
Yeah, so this would be used for both wildland and for structural. And does it have the ability to, that you could throw foam in it and run foam through it as well?
Yeah.
And this will fit in the existing equipment that we already own?
Yeah.
So it's not like we approve this and now we're gonna get a brand new truck?
Oh, so that.
Yeah. I know there's always possibilities.
Don't
but-
give him ideas.
Oh, I got all kinds of ideas.
Okay, perfect. Councillor Rabble?
So this, from my interpretation, I'm a firefighter. It seems like this is some sort of compact unit that is in the back of a pickup. When you're the first on scene, you can quickly help start extinguishing it. That's my understanding before a truck actually gets there with the big
Like
volume
a
of
fast track unit, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so for like, say something, there's a brush fire, like, you know, in your yard, or your fence catches on fire,
Yeah.
and the chief can show up there before everyone else has had a chance to respond, and he can extinguish it before there's major property damage. Like for $30,000 versus, you know, you guys just built a fence, you know how much a fence costs, right?
Yeah.
So you think you start siding and everything else, so to be able to have that fast action, I think is a great opportunity for the community.
Okay. So fire extinguisher in your kitchen instead of hydrant in your front yard kind of thing, right?
Cool. Yeah.
Okay. All those in favor? Unanimous and carried. Thank you very much. All right, moving on to correspondence. I want to talk on 9.1 recommendation, so that council received the wish list from Iron Wolf for information and or discussion. Seconded by Councillor Rabble. Thank you very much. Ms. Stokes, my question I had for staff was, has this wish list been sent to our grant writer as of yet? No. Are there any grants that we know of? We don't know. And could we use some of our Parks and Rec money or even gas tax money for this, or do we already have that set aside for other projects?
That would go to the CFO.
No. And I apologize, Ms. McNair, for not previously sending that to you. I literally read this at 11 p.m. last night. It was a long day.
Pretty much earmarked for something else, but I mean, it can always be directed wherever you guys want.
Yeah. Ms. Stokes?
This would be a wish list for starting next year.
Yes.
Later
Okay.
this year.
Yeah.
So my suggestion to council is you go through this list and you pick something, not everything.
Yeah. Well, he
Like-
seems to have them really quite well laid out.
Yes, but
With
he's
his-
asking for quite a bit here.
He
for
is.
something that he gets for free. Okay?
Yes.
So my thought to council is you go through this and you prioritize which ones are the most important, and we start there.
Okay.
And we budget it for next year. It won't happen this year.
No, and that's what I was thinking, like, we could bring this back at budget time and really.
And it's my understanding that he's going after sponsorship for some money, so is he contributing to this as well?
Oh, that's a very good question. Councilor Wong.
My suggestion, and it's only a suggestion, I have been wrong before, would be to let Iron Wolf know that we support doing these projects. They may not happen all at once, it may not be fully taxpayer funded, but we support having these things done over time. Something that needs to be done, but it could take time, depending on where the money comes from. I was recently looking into a grant, for example, that would be for lighting, so that you could have games out, like,
In the
the
evening.
big lights up, they're like 70 grand a piece. So,
Maybe step one of support could be sending these things to our grant writer for some of the things like, dugout stuff, outfield fencing, that kind of stuff.
This would be me putting him in touch with the grant writer.
Okay,
This is not me managing these grants.
okay.
So I can give him, our grant writer's name and contact information, but again, we still have to, he kind of has to me, point out which is, unless this is what he's saying, stage one is, we need to do this first, and then we move on to stage 2, and then 3, and then 4.
My understanding and conversations I've had with Mr. Mizey is he really did lay it out in stages.
Okay, so then I guess council would have to decide if stage 1 is where they want to focus on for next budget season, or does council want to focus on stage 1 and 2? You tell us you want to work on stage 1 and 2, and we will start working with the grant writer, Mr. Mizey, and figuring out how much they're willing to contribute and how much council would have to contribute in the budget. We start looking at it now, we'll have a number by the time budget season is here in January, February.
When I was reading through this, I was thinking stage one, Mr. Mizey did a wonderful job of working with Cam's Cuts in Dawson Creek and getting that facilitated himself, and he's already created that contact. Where I think it would be more beneficial for us as council, looking at our parks, looking at more of the larger things like the dugouts, and fencing, where it's more of that physical stuff that we could actually look at grants for, where Cam Cuts would be more of like lawn care and maintenance. We would have a harder time, finding grants or finding accessible money for those things, where we maybe have better luck looking at dugouts and fencing. And then maybe leaving looking at repairing the fields and stuff, maybe he could reach out on his end when it comes to that, and we could look at more of the physical things. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Councilor Rabble, yes, capital, exactly, Councilor Rabble.
I'm seeing it as, it's kind of this, it's a lot of different pieces. It's saying, hey, this is all the things, or potentially most of the things that we need to get these facilities back up to par. This sounds like a great starting point. I think exploring these things makes sense, but definitely there would need to be more fine tuning, more details, more of a plan. Let's see about sponsorships through him. Let's see, or his organization, sorry. Let's see about grants. There must be recreation facilities grants potentially. That's the hope, of course.
Well, that's where I'm looking at the dugouts and fencing, because we could probably find grants for those, where I think we'd have a harder time finding grants for fairway maintenance.
And then the other piece, though, is although yes, he's engaged with this contractor potentially to investigate things. I wonder what our obligation would be to kind of, look towards the whole community and the surrounding region, to potential vendors that could assist with this project. Although he does, we consult with him for this particular thing, for him hosting the events and saying, hey, I know what needs to be done. But then I think this is going to be a longer process. We're going to deal with it in budgeting season. Then we're going to have to kind of review, okay, how do we want to proceed? Who's taking on the work? what can be done in-house, what can be done externally, how do
Yeah.
we proceed with external work. I'm thinking this is a good kind of start, and then we explore it. But saying yes or no to particular things at this stage, I think would be a little premature.
Well, I think when it comes to looking at, for like, you know, staff time looking into contractors for fairway maintenance is gonna be very time consuming. And so that's why I was sort of thinking that could be something that he continues to handle, because he seems to already have the contacts. Where then looking into, you know, us looking in, as the village, looking into grants for dugouts and fencing for capital or park and rec updates, you know, that's something that's sort of already within our staff scope, where adding fairway maintenance might add on extra time the staff really just doesn't have. And so that's sort of where my brain was going when I was looking at it, if that makes sense. Councillor Wall, I know you had a comment there?
Just my comment is, I just wanna make sure we're not, I know Dawson Creek right now is doing a lot of upgrades to their fields. I was wondering if we could have a conversation with Dawson Creek about what they're doing and the approach they've taken. Because maybe we focus more on baseball if they're focusing more on soccer or pickleball, like I know they still pickleball.
Yes, yeah, pickleball and tennis seems to be the big thing they're focusing on.
Yeah,
Okay, Ms. Stokes?
I do know that Dawson just had Cam's Cuts do their baseball diamonds.
okay. So it's within their scope, for sure.
Yeah.
But keeping in line with our purchasing policy, we would have to put it out for tender or quotes or RFPs, because it is over the $5,000 mark.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not something that we just decide that Cam's Cuts is gonna get the job. We would have to put it out for tender.
Ms. Stokes, if I had wanted us to bring this back to look at the dugout repairs and some of the fencing stuff for the budget, would you need me to make a motion for us to bring that back, or can we just make a dual note?
So you wanna focus on stage 2, is that what you're saying?
Well, stage 2 is dugout, so looking to repair those, and then, in stage 4, he talks about the rear fencing. So those are 2 projects that we could maybe look at for our park and rec and our gas tax money, that we could look at that for park updates, where he could look at doing the outfield maintenance and the like having Cam Cuts kind of come in and sort of share the debt. I think that's kind of a deal. Councillor Wall, yes.
Mayor Beach, if I could try to clarify what you're saying there is, you would like staff to look into the capital expenses and leave Iron Wolf to look into the operational side of things?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Councillor Little?
So just to, you know, throw a monkey wrench in the whole system, the new Accessibilities Act that's coming out, so parks and all of that have to be accessible to people with disabilities. How would that affect anything that we're looking at on the diamonds?
That could affect the dugout, actually. Ms. Stokes?
We would have to look into making things accessible.
So it's just
Just for
something.
the record, the act is effective as of the 1st, and it's already on our computer.
Yeah, this is something to consider as we're moving forward with this stuff, which I don't know if Mr. Mizey is aware about, but because of that, we need to at least consider that.
Going forward, every project that we think about will have to have a thought of accessibility in it. Didn't I enclose the accessibility thing in here?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So going forward, what's gonna happen with the accessibility is there's a committee that's been formed. People applied to Urban Matters, and a committee was picked. We're having our first meeting next week to decide different things. But the idea behind the committee is it's a place for people to provide feedback about the different communities and what they think needs to be done. We're gonna be hiring a facilitator who is going to oversee all the accessible stuff. And basically, that person will be responsible for getting a report back to me as the CAO to present to council on the different things that they have identified in the community that need to be addressed. And we'll get that. Right now, we have 3 things that are on our list. The 3 things that were identified when Urban Matters did their tour was our wheelchair buttons are too far away on the door, so they need to be moved closer. 2 is the ramp at the post office. It's not wide enough at the bottom for a wheelchair to turn. And the third was wheelchair accessible bathroom over at the church over there. That's not our problem, but they are working towards. So those are the three that we have been identified for 2023, 2024. The idea of the committee is they're gonna come up with lists for every community, and when they propose that these jobs are done, 2024, 2025, 2026, it's gonna be an ongoing thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, accessibility will always be something that we have to think about now.
Councillor Rebel?
This is great information, this is great insight. I think this is it's going to be an undertaking and it's gonna take time. And I think we should really carefully look at these pieces and see what we do on our side, what they do on their side, and essentially have a good plan for the revitalization of this facility. I think the sentiment generally is that, hey, we wanna have top-notch facilities here, but that takes time and money and planning. So I think this is a great overview. I think we could, in the future, take a look at this again.
Yeah, so that's what I was thinking, maybe around budget season. So if we were to bring this back at budget and just look at our park and rec fund and our gas tax, do you need a motion on the floor for that? Or can we just make a note? Are you smiling? Because yes, I should make a motion?
No, that's not.
You're just gonna
Because
make
there's nothing really, you just
Okay.
brought up back up the budget, so.
Yeah, well, just for those projects that we could maybe put under.
I have a proposal of a motion. I know this is unorthodox, but my
Oh my goodness.
proposal is that council makes a motion that they instruct staff to reach out to Mr. Myzie to figure out who would be responsible for what and where we should go next.
This is why you're eyeballing me. I can't read your mind like I try. Councillor Wall.
I make the motion that staff reach out to Mr. Myzie and Iron Wolf Athletics to determine who will be responsible for what.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councillor Whittle. Discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous and carried.
So one more thing before we end.
One more thing before we move on. Yes,
Um,
Councillor Whittle.
Ms. Stokes,
Yes.
do you need a motion directing to allow Mr. Myzie to work with our grant writer?
Yep.
Okay. Alright, I'm back.
Who seconded my motion?
I did.
Councillor Whittle did. Okay, perfect. Alrighty.
Cool.
Anything else under correspondence anybody want to talk about? Councillor Wall?
I do want to note that in 9.2 that there are 2 tickets issued,
Yes.
which is,
I second his motion.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you. Yes, there were 2 tickets on the final report. I noticed that as well. I do send my thoughts out to our bylaw officer who's had to deal with deceased animals recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a rough couple of weeks for him, so I'm definitely, and he is an animal lover, so I definitely feel for him. Councillor Wall?
I also want to discuss 9.5 when we get there.
Do I have to do all those in favor for 9.2? Sorry, we didn't make a motion, we just talked about it. I'm having a moment.
Who seconded?
I seconded yours so that we could receive it as information
Okay.
and discuss it.
Okay, all those in favor of receiving the bylaw officer's reports for information? Unanimous and carried. Thank you. I was like, no, we're missing a step here. Does anybody want to talk on 9.3 or 9.4 before we move to 9.4?
9.3, the council receives the report from the DCRCMP July 2023 as information.
Can I get a seconder? Councillor Whittle, thank you.
Okay.
Councillor Rebel?
Okay, so, I don't know if this would be a report piece, but I see it literally right there in the report about the Dawson Creek Citizens on Patrol for cops. I guess this would be a report piece, and I'll kind of maybe revisit my report. I stumbled into a meeting of it, and there's sentiment there that, hey, if Poos and people in Poos are interested, maybe there could be kind of a meeting here to get some interested folks and maybe establish a piece of it for patrols. Just because there's been some people who have said, hey, I've got concerns. How can I, respond to that in a proactive, responsible way? And I think this society, this existing infrastructure would be very helpful. So that could be something that we could discuss later.
I know there's still establishing a line of communication between those two, if I remember correctly, with Sergeant Hughes meeting with them and attending meetings, and right now they're just reporting their hours and their kilometers, but I think they still have, as of yet, to report their members to the RCMP, so that's where there's a bit of a, we're trying to figure that, how that works. They get everybody, all of the members, not like on the books, but so they're, you know, the RCMP are aware of people who are going out and spending this time. As far as I know, they still haven't received that. I could be wrong. I haven't spoken to Sergeant Hughes since July, and it states here it was not reported to the RCMP in July. But I know that was one thing that they are currently working on with the Dawson Creek Citizens on Patrol. Councillor Wall.
So I do know a few people in Coos that would be interested in joining. I know the issue last time was we couldn't find enough people to actually to form the
Group here, yeah.
Yes. So I think there is enough sentiment now that it could work. My question to Ms. Stokes is, could myself as a member of council be on there? Because I believe right now the number of people who want to join are one short, and I don't want to be, I could join and then we're good. Or I can find one extra volunteer.
You should be able to read my mind on this one.
It's not my portfolio, so I don't think it would be a conflict.
So ideally, council and mayors do not run or sit on boards like that.
Don't worry,
It's not your position in the village.
I've done this tour this week as well. So you're number 2, my friend.
I will attempt to find one more person.
I don't know how to explain it. It could be construed as a conflict of interest. Because you're a council member, people may think that they're getting
Precedent over other
Which hat
boards.
they're wearing? at the-
Yeah, it's a really, because it's kind of like some people who want to volunteer on the food bank, or some people who want to run an open air market.
Turn around.
Hey, I'm not looking at anybody, I'm just speaking to the sky, okay?
Okay.
I'm not looking at anyone. But those who they are, they know who they are. So it really, as a council, your job is to listen to the public, bring it back to council, communicate it, but it is not for you to do it.
We're
Small
hands
communities.
on.
I know, and it's tough. It's really tough, but you have to draw that line. You have to have that line. I can't tell you not to do it. I can't tell you to do it. I can just tell you that the optics is not good.
The issue is the people that put themselves in the positions we put ourselves in, we're doers. And it's hard to not do being a doer.
So when we see like, oh, just one. Oh, I'm one.
I know, I'm one.
And it's hard in a small community because you're part of this community and you want to make it better, but that's what you got elected to do. You got elected to make things and try to make things better, but not for you to do it. You have to get a step back, okay? Or
Just don't
change
become
your
president.
chair.
Maybe I'll just be a volunteer.
Yeah.
No authority.
Just don't sit on boards where you're gonna make decisions,
No decision.
please.
There's somebody.
I know, and you're only one person. You can only sit on so many.
Councilor Rattle?
If I may, simply from this meeting, the information I gained was there are 2 reasonable approaches that we could potentially take. There's the existing organization in Dawson Creek that is the South Piece. I don't know the exact name, but essentially their name is the South Piece. There's cops in Citizens on Patrol in Dawson Creek, and then there's a additional portion for the rural crime watch as well. And we could kind of figure out which one. What I'm saying is there's already an established non-for-profit that the Boost one could be potentially a part of. So there's a willingness from that organization, from my understanding. So we could already build up that existing society, existing infrastructure, existing reporting, existing relationship with the Dawson Creek Detachment, just the same police force that we deal with. So that would be a great piece there, where we don't have to reinvent the wheel. If there's enough sentiment, maybe potentially they could come out to Poos, have a meeting, gather some interest, and gain interest there. But then what I would suggest potentially is maybe we have a liaison from council to this organization to build and foster those relationships. And I do understand that we do have a councillor who's reasonably safety portfolio with our CMP, Councillor Whittle. So I don't know, that's the mayor's decision, of course, if there's the creation and delegation of portfolios. So I just want to voice my opinion on that.
No, and I totally understand what you're saying. I think just right now, because that relationship between the RCMP and the DC Citizens on Patrol is still being established, I don't know if right now is a good time to do it. Just because they are still sort of in the new, like they've only been going since January, and they've only been like working with RCMP, like creating that relationship has only been really going, is my understanding. I could be wrong, but that may be a conversation that when Councillor Whittle's not dying, he could have. Yes, Ms. Stokes.
So my suggestion would be in line with Councillor Rabble, and seeing that Councillor Whittle is the safety person dealing with the RCMP, that maybe he reaches out to the RCMP and talks to them about it.
Yeah, I'll reach out to Sergeant Hughes.
Yeah.
And
And he
I'll
can direct you
get
probably
some
better
direction
on
and I'll
where.
bring that back to council.
If I may, I'm willing to have that portfolio, but I want to offer it, or I don't even offer it, I'm just making suggestions.
Give
I'll have
the
a
man a
conversation-
mustache and now he
I'll
wants
have
to
a
be.
conversation with Sergeant Hughes. Excuse me. And then I'll bring back that information and then we can make the determination if we, you know, as a group, we can talk if we split that off into its own thing or if it becomes part of an existing profile and then. But we'll get some direction from the RCMP because I know there is members from our community that are already part of this, right? So.
Totally. And if I may, there's already some distress in the community, and I think expressing that in a healthy, structured way through this advocating would be the best approach. Anyways, I think we've belabored that enough.
I'm just staring at you to make sure you're not, because you're behind me now, so. Okay, perfect. Alrighty, and then, which one did you want to talk about? You want to talk about 9.5, right, Councillor Wall?
Correct.
I want to talk on none of the other ones, so we're all good. Okay, nobody want to talk on 9.4? Going once? Going twice? You're up, Councillor Wall.
The council receives rural transit funding report for information on page 69.
Seconder, Councillor Whittle, thank you very much.
So this report here is just from the city of Nelson. I believe it's just what they have put forward to UBCM on that's going to be voted on at UBCM. I am personally in support of this, and I just want to make it known that at UBCM I do intend to support their motion on rural transit by increasing the funding to rural municipalities.
Okay, Councillor Whittle.
So I actually just got back from my vacation. I was actually down in the Nelson, Casville area. And I actually got the opportunity to see the BC Transit bus while I was there.
Streetcar?
I seen the streetcar too, yeah. But I actually got the opportunity to see the BC Transit bus that actually does interconnection for those small communities along that area. And it's an awesome idea. It's great. As I was following the bus, because I was stuck behind it in construction, I was thinking this would be awesome to have from Goose Coopy to Dawson Creek.
Wait, is it a tram, like a trolley, like a hop-on, hop-off?
No, this is like the rural bus needs, it's like a BC Transit bus. Sort of like, the bus was very similar to what Step Up and Ride uses. And so just a small bus that went from Nelson and all the little, like, whistle stops along the way down across that little Kootenai area.
Cool, okay. Councillor Wall?
This is one of the big motions for me at UBCM that I very much support. I just want to make sure that the rest of council here puts in their 2 cents before I go gung-ho on it,
You've been gung-ho on transit from the get-go, you just carry your torch, my
Keep
friend.
driving that bus,
You
buddy.
just keep driving that bus. Nobody's gonna rain on your parade.
They're looking for bus drivers right now, by the
There's
way.
everywhere.
Yes, okay, so I guess that's that one.
9, yes, Councillor Wall?
I have 9.6.
Oh, perfect, I was gonna speak on that one anyway. Okay, go.
Okay, that council receives stars, thank you letter from commission.
Seconder, Councillor Rebel, thank you. Wait, did we do all those in favor for this rural transit? You guys are messing me up this evening. All those in favor to receive the rural transit thing for information? Unanimous and carried, thank you. Sorry, Miss Green, she's gonna kill me tomorrow.
You can do it for that RCP one, technically.
We didn't do it for the RCMP one
No,
either?
I don't think so, no.
You need like a bell or something. All those in favor?
Received them all, there you go. Like,
Oh,
unless you're gonna talk about them,
well, I think
we don't
there's
need
certain,
you to receive.
there's
your
certain
info.
ones that we wanna talk
Then-
on specific items.
Okay, so,
Is there a quicker way to fast track this?
yeah, don't talk about them. But,
You're killing him, you know this, right? He's like,
sorry, was that the
dying.
wrong voice? If you're accepting them for information, you don't need to read them out. If you want to discuss
Yes.
something in particular, then
And you need to read them out, yes, which is where we're at. Councilor Wall.
So we're on 9.6. The council receives STARS. Thank you a lot for information. I really appreciate what STARS does as an organization, and for the families that have received their services, it's life-saving. However, something that I'm concerned about is it seems like we donate $10,000 every year.
carry on. Oh.
And I'm just curious if that money could be used more effectively within our community.
You are making Councilor Woodall's whole year right now. No idea. Miss Stokes.
So, just to give you context of this, 3 years ago, council made a motion in their budget to support STARS for 3 years at $10,000 a year. So this is the last year, so this will not be coming up next year. This is not a reoccurring thing every year. This was a 3-year motion that was put in place 3 years ago.
And we're actually technically already covering a STARS donation through the PRD, if I remember correctly. Is that how it works?
Well, we're part of it.
I think
We're like part of the
this,
PRDs.
no,
We were. Did we not have a conversation?
That's what I'm confused about.
Oh, gotcha.
now's the time.
Councilor Rebel.
If I may, STARS is really expensive to run. It's very, it's really remote stuff, and it's very expensive to maintain the equipment that's utilized. So I don't know, maybe this could be something that's revisited in the future.
Councilor Woodall.
So, STARS is a great organization. They are expensive, but when you look at that STARS ambulance, every time you see a decal or a logo on there, that's around $1 million that's been donated to it. Every oil and gas company has to register with their site with STARS, so they have an emergency location through STARS who dispatches. The oil companies also pay for this. So STARS gets lots of money from Alberta and other places within the northeastern BC. But STARS is primarily for Alberta, not for BC. They do missions in BC. But I agree with Councillor Wall, as staff is very much aware, and so is Mayor Beach. I'm a firm advocate that money, that $10,000, would be better allocated to local resources and local organizations than it would be going to STARS, who has access to much deeper pockets than some of our local organizations.
Okay.
And that's putting it as nicely as I can.
All those in favor?
Can I make a motion?
Oh, yes.
Can I make a motion that we do not continue with this donation for the next 2 years?
It's done.
It's done, this is the last
And you
year.
This is the last year. So unless
This
you
is
make a
year
motion
33.
to do the opposite, we're done, Skeet.
I don't think, yeah, so in the negative.
So we're.
Oh yeah, I guess it's done.
Yeah.
This is my morning.
I know.
You just said that too, I'm sorry.
I tried that last year.
All right, all those in favor of receiving it for information? All those opposed?
Oh.
You want your opposed noted, Councilor Riddle?
You don't want
He
it?
likes to do
You
that.
don't want
He
the
just
thank you
does.
letter?
We'll discuss this
He
later.
just likes being picky. Okay, anybody want to talk about 9.7 and we're all good?
Oh, I'm sorry, there was an introduction of a late item.
Oh,
It's on your desk, why didn't you read it?
because I thought it was only for me.
Oh, it says 9 point,
Oh.
59.8 there. It
you
should
put
be.
superpowers, so.
I know. Councilor Woodall?
I make a motion that we accept a late item.
Thank you.
Can I get a seconder on your motion? Councilor Rebel, thank you. All those in favor of receiving the late item?
Just receiving it like.
Well, add the late item. Now I'm gonna add the late
Let's
item.
add the late
Now
item.
we gotta add the late item. So late item has been added to 9.9. That was unanimous and carried. Sorry about that, Ms. Green. That was very quick. Councilor Rebel?
If I may, for 9.7, that council receives the Northeast BC Collaborative Accessibility Plan from information.
Secretary? Councillor Wall? I know, I'm very quickly reading this. Yes, Councillor Rebel.
So it looks like Urban Matters has put this together for the PRD and this committee and all the different pieces that will fit together for this accessibility committee. So I guess this is just us receiving this information, and then I'm wondering what our next steps are. I understand that staff assist with this committee, but I'm wondering what council can do in regards to this.
I don't think council has anything to do with this, is it?
I just explained it, but anyway. So, we had to have this accessibility plan available for September 1st. It's governed by the government, okay? This has now been put together. This is the plan. Who's gonna execute the plan is the people that we have put out requests for volunteers to sit on a committee. Our first committee meeting is next week with the committee members that have been offered the job. At that point in time, we're going to come up with a plan, and there's going to be a facilitator that's probably going to be hired. That facilitator will be responsible for holding committee meetings, providing minutes and recommendations to the different councils as the years go by. There's not much in here for councils to do right now. Council's job is going to be to accept the recommendations and work it into their budgets. That's what's gonna happen.
Councillor Rebel?
So in response to that, therefore, the municipality and council have met the obligations of that mandate that was
Yes.
sent out. So
As of today, this is on our website, and we have met the first step of the plan. The plan was have a plan in place, a feedback mechanism, and a committee. And we've done all three of those now by September 1st.
So we've met our obligations. No, thank you for that.
Anybody else? All those in favor of receiving that for information? Perfect. So late item 9.9. The invitation to the upcoming sessions of Heritage Conservative Act Transformation Presentation in fall 2023. Can I get a seconder? Councillor Paul, thank you.
Can I make a friendly amendment that it should be 8.8 or 9.8?
Oh, it should be 9.8. Yes, he's correct. Good eyeballs on you. For a man who just woke up. Pretty good. Okay, so we're being invited to these preliminary sessions. Is this part of UNDRIP? Is that my understanding? Oh, you don't really know. No. Oh,
We're a
no.
working group on First Nations heritage. This is not part of UNDRIP. This is just something that came through.
Yeah.
It's an invitation. You guys can decide if you want to attend.
Would anybody like to attend this? It's difficult because many of us are taking time off to go to UNBC.
Yeah.
And I am back in UBC, thank you. And I am back in school now, so would anybody like to attend? Oh, Miss Stokes?
May I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
If you're interested in going, you guys can just click on the link and register. I don't need to know this one. I can't register you for this.
Yeah.
So you guys can decide on your own, and that's why I presented it as just
Okay.
info.
So free and at will.
Okay, so if anybody would like to register for this, just gotta click on the link and register. Thank you, I'll make a note of that. Right. That would be nice. Did you have a question, Councillor Wall, or?
I just want to make a note that unfortunately, this would be something I would be interested in attending, but I just checked my date planner here now. So, for both of those dates. So I won't be.
No worries. I'll see if I can make it work. I may be able to. I might be late, but I'll try. Okay. All those in favor of accepting this for information? Unanimous and carried. Thank you. Okay. All right. Resolutions, none. Bylaws. 11.1 recommendation.
That council gives the first reading to development application procedure bylaw 1050/2023.
Seconder? Councillor Wall, thank you. Discussion, Councillor Rebel.
So from my understanding, this is simply just to put a procedure in place so that people with a variety of different development applications have a mechanism and a clearly laid out path to proceed. So that's my understanding. And then there was that Board of Variance. I don't know, does this leave room for a Board of Variance? What does that look like?
Ms. Stokes?
A board of variance is formed usually by residents and council and a member of staff. And in the past, we have put out calls for board of variance members and we've had no response. We are more than willing to put another call out, but when there is no board of variance formed by residents and staff, it falls to council for variances.
Yeah.
And there is no provincial board of variance.
No.
I just wanna make that known. Thank you.
Yeah, no, we've put out year after year for a Board of Variance and we've never.
We had one person step up about 5 years ago, one,
Yeah.
and that was it. So it's just always fallen to council, it's because we get so few of them. This year seems to be an exceptional year for variances, but usually we get maybe one every 3 or 4 years. So,
So it's not too much added extra or
Yeah.
anything, yeah. Councilor Brown?
Well, essentially, because, it's expensive to put a bylaw in place, I want to just future-proof this. If there would be the desire, the need in the future for a Board of Variance, does
it's
this,
completely different from this.
it wouldn't be a part of the process?
You have a board of variance irregardless.
Hmm.
It's either made up of people from there or it falls to council. Either way, you've always got a board of variance in place. It's just not the ideal. If you don't have the people to stand up and volunteer to run your board of variance, who's gonna make those decisions?
Councilor Rice?
Sorry, so therefore, to clarify, it already exists in here. If residents, citizens want to do it, they can already, but then it already is falling to council, so it's already in there.
Yeah.
It already
So
exists.
We're golden, yeah. Okay. All those in favor? Unanimous and carried, thank you very much. 11.2 recommendation.
The council gives a second reading development application procedures bylaw 1050/2023.
Seconded by Councilor Woodall, thank you. Discussion, all those in favor? Unanimous and carried. Recommendation 11.3.
The council gives a third reading to development application procedures bylaw 1050/2023.
Seconded by Councilor Woodall. All those, do you have a discussion?
Just a really quick one, but this is pretty standard, hey? Like this is comparable to other. We're not putting onerous portions on people.
What's wrong
And
with-
then, if I may, for Schedule A, I've noticed an increase in the costs. Is that just matching the increase in the costs on our end?
Page your one, please.
For 6, I guess,
Page 6 of.
of this, or 104 of the whole
104
meeting?
of the whole, yeah.
These would reflect the fees that they put out in the development procedures manual.
Those already approved.
Yeah.
Okay.
All those in favor? Unanimous and carried, thank you very much. Alrighty, item number 12, administration report, CAO report.
In addition to everything there. Did I ask any questions in this one?
Yeah, I didn't have any questions. Look good.
No. So just an update, I'll give you a little bit of an update here. The seniors aging in place, as of today, we have 15 people that have enrolled in the program.
Wonderful.
For different things, and we've set kind of a soft deadline of next Friday. They wanna know how many people, so they can get their contractors working, but we'll continually take in applications, but right now we have 15. Okay, so I have a few things that came up afterwards. I have a group that's doing a fundraiser, and I'm sorry I don't know what they're fundraising for, but they're fundraising for something. They're asking to use the ball diamonds, September 16th and 17th to do a ball tournament overnight. They would like to have camping and a barbecue. There will be no alcohol, and there will be no campfires. And right now, they figure they have about 3 people camping, so 3 tents. And I just wanna know if council's okay with it before I tell them yea or nay.
I make a motion to let them use it. I'll put the motion on the floor to let them use the ball diamond September 16th, 17th overnight for camping.
I second that motion. Okay, yep. Councillor Will?
No, just the only thing, just for a logistic issue, is just make sure that we let Iron Wolf
Yeah.
know. That's
Yeah.
about it.
Oh, they've already contacted TJ,
Oh, okay. I just didn't wanna,
and I'll let the bylaw officer know so he can go by.
didn't wanna double booking issue.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so there's that one.
Well, hang on, all those in favor of Councillor Wall's motion? Unanimous and carried.
Just a reminder, I sent out an email to everybody about BC Hydro is holding a pre-UBCM webinar through BC Hydro that you can click on. It's being held on September 15th from 2 till 3, and it's about expanding public EV charging stations in BC. So if you're interested in that, just click on the webinar. I just wanted to bring that to your attention. BC Natural Resources, the forum has opened for registration. I do not have a report yet because I just got this, but I just wanted to give you, I will bring a report to the next meeting. A quick figure to attend for one person will be approximately $2,150, or you can attend virtually for $209. So no decisions are being made. I'm just letting you know. I will bring a report back on October 4th. Okay. And last but not least, touching on transit. So we had a meeting with BC Transit. Right now we're at the stage where we need to do a feasibility study, and we need to know what kind of service council is looking for. So they want to know what kind of level of service do we want. Currently Dawson Creek only has service during the weekdays. So they've suggested that maybe 2 or 3 round trips a day, and maybe starting it at 2 to 3 days a week, depending on whether you see this as a service where people are traveling to Dawson for medical appointments, shopping, or access to other amenities. Or is there a desire for a commuter style service where they could look at doing it 5 days a week and maybe 2 round trips? They're proposing to do the feasibility study in early 2024, and then this will line up well to submit an expansion report to the Ministry of Transportation, or a memorandum of understanding to the province for next year, because we have to get permission from the province to do this. And
Councillor Wall?
So right now, correct me if I'm wrong, we have a survey that's out that they need to be back by Friday.
yeah, that's not going very well, just to let you know.
Yeah, So I was curious if we could extend the deadline for the survey and see if maybe
We
we
put a deadline, but we never, we put a deadline so that people will hopefully.
Get in and do it. I gotta do one of those quarterly eventually.
Yeah, I still haven't even done it.
They have some here.
No, we don't.
That's not what she said.
Ooh.
The P to the A to the U to the L. The I to the N to the Z.
Did she leave the note somewhere, or? Okay, we'll talk about it after.
Okay.
Okay, so,
If there are some that could be printed, maybe we could pick some up and.
everybody got them in their mailboxes,
Oh.
and online.
I gotta check my mail.
Like the center of the
It's
Right
in
village.
there in
the
the
Village
box?
Voice.
Just
No, it was
center
put in the
pages.
Village Voice last
Village
week.
Voice. You know, the one with the Canada Day pictures in it?
Okay. We didn't get a Village Voice yet.
It's in your mailbox, everybody gets it.
Okay, perfect. Sounds
There's
great.
extra copies on the way out.
We will figure that out.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So anyway, this is where we're at with the BC Transit stuff. So, what I would like council to think about, I don't want any answers tonight, is what kind of services are you guys looking for? Are you looking for a daily service? Are you looking for something maybe 2 to 3 days a week? Are you looking for 5 days, like they say, 2 round trips a day? We need to figure out what kind of service it is we want them to. And then they're gonna work on pricing for us. And we have to get permission, a memorandum of understanding from the province, we have to get permission from Dawson. There's a whole bunch of steps that we have to go through.
Sounds good.
That's not a lot of information, but at least I was able to share a little bit.
Councillor Wall?
We could come back to that decision after we have the surveys brought back, and we can make our decision based on the surveys.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is just a heads up that I haven't forgotten about your project. Just so you know, and I'm still working on your alcohol permitting one too.
Yeah,
She has a ton of
somebody,
stuff from
somebody gave you quite a bit of reading.
Well, it's bad when your partner's shutting you.
Anyway, it's there, I'm working on it, and that is, my report. Don't have anything else?
Councillor Whittle?
I just wanted to bring attention to the council meet and greet with residents for Thursday, October 12th,
Yes.
from 6 to 8 p.m. Where are we gonna post that? Is that gonna be at the, is that here? Or at the-
We are gonna have flyers are being worked on, and it's going to be in the Village Voice, but it will be hosted here.
Okay.
What we do is we just open the doors and bring in snacks, and the one time we did it before, I think we had about 10 people show up to talk to council.
Okay.
Open it up for a couple
Well,
hours.
just the time these minutes get approved and it goes on YouTube and the 100 people that watch our YouTube videos see it.
We're down to 43 actually.
Oh, 43, I'm lost, okay.
The less interested people are, means the better we're doing, because politics shouldn't be exciting.
Welcome to Cruise.
Councillor Rabble?
If I may speak to, so school district removed this electronic sign in the school. Is that theirs or ours? I'm seeing it as that we might have to budget to replace it.
So it was gotten as a fundraiser? No,
It was, in memory of the late Mayor Larry Finn. People made donations.
Why did they remove it?
It broke.
stop. They couldn't get replacement parts for it anymore. It was obsolete. So, and it had stopped working. It was, little squares all over the place. So it was time for it to come down. So we're gonna look at costs to replace it and see if there's some grants out there. We'll bring some reports forward later.
Maybe a fundraiser.
Who's gonna do it?
All the engaged, excited people.
Councilor Rabble just volunteered.
He's so excited.
I know.
He sure did.
School. It's school, so
Oh,
why
there you
not?
go.
Hey, if it was a fundraiser before, clearly it was.
It was a community fundraiser, right? Or was it part of the school?
I just did a fundraiser for the food bank, so tag you're it.
We could play the Who's Poopy movie on it.
I think it's gone to the dump now. I told them that we didn't need it.
The movie or the?
No, the sign.
No, if we do a fundraiser for a new sign, we could play the movie on it.
Yeah, as long as you get a big enough.
Which movie?
The Who's Poopy movie.
Well, if I
Which Who's Poopy movie?
Both of them.
All of them.
if I may.
Yes,
Sure.
Councillor Rebel.
Well, I'm thinking maybe I'll make a motion then that staff look into the possibility of how much a sign would cost. Is this in conjunction with the school district?
No, it's our own thing.
This is our own thing that we tack on the side of it.
It's already on my radar. This is
Okay.
just me telling you this.
Fair
So
enough.
you're just gonna put that one back in.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good. Moving on to action items. Looks good. This list, this year I was like, we're not gonna have a ton of stuff going on. We're gonna make sure that staff have get a chance to get, and now we're at 16, and I feel like
It's not the 28 or 22.
it's not the 27 it was. It's still 10 less. Yes,
I just
Councilor.
wanna note, we are 3/4 of the way through the year, and we are 3/4 of the way done.
No. Kicking buttons,
Or 2/3 of the way through the year, sorry.
kicking buttons, taking names.
Can I just make a comment?
Yeah.
You know this action item list changes every month, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So every month I do a new list. I copy
Yeah.
and paste and I take all the completes out and then I add, every meeting I add everything that council gives us to do. That's how this list works. So if you think that we've only had 16 for the year, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but we
We're at
have.
616,
We
gotcha.
could have pages and pages and pages of green.
So when we started doing this list, it was meant as a monthly list.
Mm.
When the previous CIO was here. So what we do is, you'll see the start date is usually the dates of the meetings. And a target completion date is usually what I anticipate it will take to complete. If they're a high priority, they get done like usually within the same week. If they're medium, in a week or two, and if it's low, like you know, the transit, I've pushed it, it's got an end date of 2024 December. So things that, and what I do is every month, so for 2 meetings a month, you'll see the same list, but then the next month I do a new list and then I take all the completes out from the previous month and we start kind of over. That's how it works.
So she changed it and didn't tell anybody, so we're all off the hook.
No, I change it every month, it's just you haven't noticed.
We just see all the beautiful green, all the complete, and all the hard work you're doing. If you make the list bigger and there's more green, it looks like you're
I
working
can
harder.
compile all the lists for you if you like.
Councilor Wall.
I just want to apologize and for putting my foot in my mouth there on that one.
Which topic?
It is, I do work night shifts and this is like, I had 3 hours sleep and this is the middle of my night, so.
Thank you. Anyway, I thought I'd just explain how that one worked.
I just feel a little dumb.
So nothing else on the action item list, no worries. We're gonna move on to capital and special projects. Okay, that list doesn't change every month.
That list does not change, I just keep updating the comments for you.
Yeah.
And the goal by the end of the year is that they all say complete.
So, getting there. Did the paving start? Paving and culvert updates?
No, the inflow meter has to be done first.
Okay.
The lagoon project is being done first,
Okay.
and he's starting that tomorrow, so.
Councilor Wall?
I'm happy to see that the loader is, because it's across the border last time, and now we know it's in Canada, it's in Regina, it's on its way here. Very excited to see that. And we have the lagoon project still on the list, and I'm sure that's going well, it's gonna take years. After looking at the water treatment plant in Dawson Creek and seeing their lagoon project that they were doing and their fantastic system there, would it be possible for council to get a tour of our lagoon before the snow flies? Just to see the difference between what Dawson has and what we have, and just because I know we've seen the pictures of the scope of the project.
So you wanna go look at the food?
So all we have is a lagoon, we don't have a treatment plant or anything, you understand that, right?
I understand that, but I've read the reports and I've seen the pictures of what we need to do with our lagoon and with the wall and everything like that. But for myself, after seeing, I had a hard time understanding exactly how Dawson's system worked. Then I saw it, and now I understand it, and I feel like it would be beneficial to myself personally, as a counselor, to actually see our actual system. And then I'd understand the scope of the work a bit better.
I talked to Public Works. It would have to be during the day,
Oh yeah,
before 3:30 in the afternoon.
morning would be best.
Well, you'd probably go down at 7:30 in the morning.
Well, I get out of street, so.
Spring coffee would be their best friend. Councilor Wall? Councilor Whittle, I'm doing it again.
You doing it again. Item number 1 with the paving, is it gonna be a concern if the temperature gets too cold too fast this year? Because I know I woke up, this morning, and there was frost in my yard. Well, not frost, there was actual ice over top of stuff. So,
We can ask the contractor.
I believe we're just concentrating on the culverts this year, right?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, they're not doing the paving, they're
Oh,
just
okay,
gonna replace the
oh, okay.
culverts this year, and
Oh,
we're
that
gonna worry
doesn't
about
matter.
paving next year.
okay, I was just thinking for paving, cause like asphalt's gonna be at a certain temperature.
Yeah, no. we don't
Culverts,
want
yeah, that's
to-
just
I
dirt.
think they're just gonna gravel fill them until next year when they pave.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
We
really
have
good
done
at it.
paving in October before though.
Depends on the year.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Moving on to council calendars, either September or October. Tell us where you're going, what you're doing, who you're seeing, and how long you're gonna be there.
That's a lot of detail.
I'm back at work, so I'm doing nothing. I'm just working 2 jobs. Yes, Councilor Wall.
Going to attempt to attend the Northern Trails meeting in Tumbler Ridge still. Unfortunately, the tourism meeting in Fort St. John was rescheduled and I wasn't able to attend.
Yes.
What day are you going?
That is on the 15th of September. That is, I'm going to try to attend. That's at 10 to 1. And obviously we're at UCM.
I'm going to be attending the PRD meeting on September 14th as the alternate director. So I'll be in Fort St. John.
On the 15th, there's the NDAT meeting. I'm gonna just attend as an observer
Yes.
in the morning.
I'm going to attempt to. I'm in meetings all day that day too, so I'm going to try.
It's a very meeting heavy day.
Yes, it is. It's for both jobs, it's a very meeting heavy day for me, yeah.
There's the UNBC meeting with Northern Lights College occurring in Fort St. John at some point next month. Do you know the date? There's a confusing email.
Yes, it was. I saw, hang on, what's it called? It's the
UNBC.
UNBC. It was, save the date for the upcoming meeting in Fort St. John that is happening.
See, it's a confusing email.
No, October 11th.
And I'm gonna be out of town potentially from the 18th to the 22nd of October.
Where are you going? What you doing? Who you seeing?
Prince George teaching a wilderness first responders course.
Sorry, from when, October?
18th to the 22nd.
Are you missing another PRD meeting? No.
No, I'm missing a council meeting though.
Oh.
But going to Prince George to teach a first responders course.
Okay, anything else? Okay. All right, moving on to reports. Councillor Johnston is absent with notice. Councillor Rabble, you're up.
Okay, so I attended the water treatment plant tour hosted by the City of Dawson Creek. So I absolutely thank the City of Dawson Creek for taking the time to explain the process of water treatment, as we're partners in that essentially, that they really do assist us. Water treatment and wastewater recovery, the pipe that comes to Pooskoopi, and that there might be the potential for a future pump replacement that we might have to consider as a capital project in the future, potentially. Seems like there's one going out. And then working with them in regards to the location of 2 valves along the highway.
Oric Road or whatever, yes.
Anywho, lots of very good information about the water treatment plant and how we benefit from that system. I stumbled into a Citizens on Patrol meeting yesterday evening. It was very informative, as I had previously mentioned. I believe that that organization would be a valuable partner for this community, and that it would be a healthy way for people to direct their concerns and advocate for their,
Did you stumble in? Was it like wrong place, wrong time kind of a deal? Or
It was
Right
in the
place,
Chamberville
right
thing. I was there working,
okay.
and
you keep saying you stumbled in. I'm like, what did you do? Just like walk into a room and you're like, oh, what?
this is how I keep getting on things. I just end up there.
Yes, gotcha.
So anyway, that I think would proceed with, potentially the creation of a portfolio for that, and then also that organization could potentially in the future have some sort of meeting here where people could attend and interest expressed and resources moved around and stuff. Anywho, library board meeting on September 13th, Wine for Books happening on Saturday, September 23rd. I don't recall when the early bird pricing ends, but that's a super important piece that people could still qualify for that early bird pricing. I think it goes from 70 to 75 after. That's going to be a wonderful community event to see everyone there. Fortunately, I won't be able to attend because we're most likely traveling down for UBCM on that weekend. South Peace Health Services Society's AGM is going to be September 14th in the evening at Northern Lights College in the Energy House or the CSET building. So that's the AGM. From my understanding, public's welcome. Anywho, that's going to be interesting. Food Bank has a tentative meeting for September 30th. So that's, wonderful to see that coming together. I'm very excited to liaise with this board and help in the ways that I'm able to help with them.
I'm gonna be there.
Oh, you're gonna be there?
Yeah.
You've already heard through the grapevine? Anyway, we can talk about that later. But essentially, long and the short is, I had somebody in the community suggest a really good idea. What about a Halloween food drive? Maybe a conjunction between the village and the food bank. But this is just an idea. It's something that other communities have done. Cans or candy kind of thing.
I think that's what the fire department does.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Every year.
Fire department does it some years. They haven't in the last few because of COVID and stuff, but they used to do it in the past.
So that could be a partnership in the future with the fire department.
They
Okay.
used to also do that door knocking thing, remember?
Well, that was years ago, yeah. They used to do, that was fire safety week.
Fire safety week, yeah, they used to do door knocking. Yes, Miss Woods.
They're not doing it this this year from what I know, because they had the barbecue a couple weeks ago. That was their food drive that they did.
Food drives as
Right,
well.
okay.
No, absolutely.
And then we'll collect food at the Santa Claus parade.
So there will be lots of opportunities, but as always, just ensuring that they have enough resources and supplies in place, because there's a lot of community partners that are willing to work with them, that also work with other food banks and other organizations that provide food to those in need. All right, school back in session, so all the kids will get settled into their classes, so it's going to be a very exciting piece. That's not only for the elementary school in Coos, but obviously the middle school and high schools, and for the college. On September 30th, Northern Alliance College is hosting the second BC Intercollegiate Rodeo. So that's happening both September 30th and October 1st. There's details on the websites as to exactly what events are being held. But it's an interesting opportunity that represents education and agriculture in British Columbia's north. Yeah, so that would be that piece there. And then I think that would be an opportune time to segue into, as there are members of this body attending UBCM, as per the bylaw that pertains to wage reimbursement, I put a motion on the floor that the members attending the UBCM, September 2023, as per the bylaw that outlines wage reimbursement, that wage reimbursement be allocated according to the bylaw and to essentially the wages that people have.
Can there be a motion put on just for everybody, all at once, or do we have to do it individually, Ms. Stokes?
No, you can do it for all.
For all? Okay, so, seconder on Councillor Rebel's motion, Councillor Wall, thank you very much. Discussion, Councillor Whittle?
Yeah, so I think it's good that if we move forward this for the wage reimbursement to people that are there, but I guess part of the expectation is that anybody that is attends, as many sessions as possible, right? Because now you are getting paid as if you were at work on top of your stipend that we already receive for doing this job. So if that's something that we do, it's definitely something that, for sake of, taxpayers' money that we're spending, right? People are being paid to attend the sessions, and there would be an expectation that all sessions that we've paid for or registered for, barring an active dog or emergency, that people do attend those sessions.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Oh, sorry about that.
How are we funding it?
Well, the money's put aside for,
Not budgeted.
not for wages, told you that. Oh, okay, well, guess that's a
Send
budget
an
question.
email out regarding it.
Oh, Councillor Whittle?
So, because there's two of us that aren't going, so there's money just there. I think there's approximately $4,000, give or take, because there's two of us that aren't attending with the hope of trying to save the village some money.
Okay.
How much do we need covered again? Don't know.
And besides that, that's not something you talk about on camera.
Yeah, true. I don't know if that covers it. That's basically what I'm asking you. Does that cover it, or does it not cover it, or
We don't know.
do you need to come back to it?
We
For
can't
office.
discuss it on
Mhm.
camera.
So we'll have to come
I
back to it then.
can't answer it, I don't have.
You
Can I
guys
make
will
a-
have to
any
make a
information
decision
from you.
on whether or not you're reimbursing it.
Can I make a motion that we move this to closed for that discussion? Since we haven't closed
I'm
tonight.
not gonna have the information tonight.
No, we'll have to bring it back.
That is a motion. What are they in motion for? Oh, you've got a motion on the floor.
Yeah, the motion is for the wage loss reimbursement, but how can we make a
We already
motion for
voted on
wage?
that.
Yeah.
I have a
Councillor Wall?
All in favor?
I have a solution. So, we've saved money on Canada Day, we're saving money by not sending other people, and we are saving money next year by only budgeting for one person to attend the natural resource
We're not
forum.
talking about next year's budget, we're talking about this
Yeah, we
year's
gotta talk
budget.
about this year's
Already been set. With no wage loss reimbursement.
Yes.
We have seniors aging in place that was added to budget last.
Of 35,000. And the money has to come from somewhere, so it's being pulled from Canada Day and council travel.
And staff travel.
Councillor Whittle?
There's no additional conferences scheduled for the remainder of this year, is there?
No, but that doesn't mean things won't come up.
Well, the thing is, though, because we've already approved, we already voted, and we already approved the wage reimbursement, so the motion was made and we voted on it and we had approved it unanimously. So if that's the case, that means that gas is at budget and there's just no more travel for council for the rest of the year if the money's not there.
I know, we're kind of putting you on the spot, sorry about that, Ms. McNair.
I can't answer this
Yeah.
right now.
So we'll have to come back to it. At this point,
You've
this
already
should-
voted in favor of wage
Yeah.
reimbursement. Where the money's going to come back,
Yeah.
just gonna have to bring it back.
Yeah, we'll have to bring it back. Okay,
Um,
sounds good.
You may have to
Counselor,
make a budget amendment.
what's that
You
say?
may have to make a budget amendment.
I don't wanna do that. Okay, Counselor Rattle?
but for other lines, like for example, we have our whatever supplies budget as counselors. I think I've only bought a phone case. You know, I have no
You don't have
intention.
a supply budget.
No.
Or wasn't there the
It's
miscellaneous
a
line?
total, it's a total budget for everyone,
Mhm.
and I believe that's already been used.
Oh. Well, anywho, I bought a phone case and that's about it. So
Yeah, but
anyways,
It's a combined budget. You also asked for a zoning 101 planning session and a OCP or whatever it was we did with urban at the beginning of the year, and that was $25,000 that we didn't have in the budget either. That got pulled from somewhere. So you're constantly adding things and we're pulling it from places, so now the budget, we're at the end of the year, the budget is getting very lean. Things like tonight, when Katrin was on there, that's costing us money.
Mhm.
So you have to keep in mind, we can't just keep pulling from here and there and here and there and here and there. It's not how it works. And it causes a bit of a nightmare for our finance department.
Mhm.
okay, that's my report.
Alright, yeah. Alright, well, I don't know, I'll talk to my husband and maybe I just won't take wage loss reimbursement then, and I'll try to figure it out from there. Or there's really not much we can do, we've already paid for the conference and so I have to go, so.
You've already passed it.
Well, yeah, but whether or not if I don't put in the paperwork, you can't pay me now, can you?
True.
Exactly, problem solved. Okay, Counselor Wall, you're up.
Attended the water treatment plant tour, lots of exciting
Slow
stuff going
down,
on
slow
there.
down, slow,
Oh.
slow. So she can write.
I attended the water treatment plant tour, lots of exciting stuff going on there. The water treatment plant in Dawson that we get our water from is a level 4 water treatment, which is the highest classification of water treatment there is in British Columbia. So they have the most stages of purification that you can actually get in BC. Fantastic work they do. They run under UV light, which is a newer technology. Different types of filters, charcoal. It's quite a system. Something else is once their water goes into the lagoons, once everything is done, it's gone through your house, it ends up in the lagoon, it also comes back out and gets refiltered again. And that could be used for oil field, for agriculture, lots of other things, something that is very uncommon. So while other areas of the province are in water restrictions, we are quite fortunate to have the system that we have. I also learned that we have roughly 2 days of water in our tank at any time, but that's about it. So if we ever had any issue, we have about 48 hours worth of water, if anyone is curious, in our tank at the top of the hill. And it's a completely gravity-fed system from their large storage out in Eris all the way in to the treatment facility, all the way to us. So it's all gravity-fed. Really cool. I attended the Rural Health something.
BC Rural Health Network Initiative.
BC Rural Health Network Initiative meeting with Mayor Beach, where we discussed different community issues when it comes to healthcare and Northern Health and the like. Lack of family doctors, long wait times at the hospital, public substance use, mental health, and things like that on the issues pertaining to those on the rise in our area and what can be done. Something that came up quite a bit with staffing issues. Where are people, we're building a big brand new hospital in Dawson Creek. We have Northwinds that's planning on building here in Foose. Where are the staff going to come? We're already in the middle of a staffing shortage. Where are these staff going to come from to actually make these facilities operate? Unfortunately, no real answer there. spoke with the museum, they have lots and lots of sponsors. I don't even know how many they have now for their harvest tea. At least 50. Like they're doing fantastic there. And unfortunately, I've had a couple people notice theft on the rise, people going through back lanes and looking, jerry cans going missing and whatnot. So if you're watching this at home, please make sure if you have anything valuable in your yard, make sure it's stored properly or out of sight or something, because sometimes there are people that will come through Poos and take your stuff. So yeah, my last thing is I would like to organize a visit with Public Works and Art Lagoon for council. So I'll make that motion now. To have staff organize a visit for Art Lagoon for council. Some point in the near future before snow flies.
Okay, can I get a seconder on that? Councillor Rebel, thank you. Discussion? All those in favor, or do you have a discussion plan?
Yeah, no, it's irrelevant, it's details,
Okay.
technicalities.
Okay, all those in favor? Unanimous and carried. Is that your report, Councillor Moore?
I feel like I'm missing something, but I can always add it back next time.
I might say it, you never know, that's what happens.
Yeah.
Okay, you're up, Councillor Whittle.
I went on vacation.
Done,
Done.
there you go. Okay, sounds good.
Was that slow?
Miss Green, you got my report, right? Yes, wonderful. Okay, August 17th, I attended a PRD meeting. August 21st, I attended a Minister of Emergency Preparedness meeting and an update.
You
August-
still need to talk slowly,
Why, she doesn't have to write it down.
but the public might wanna be able to hear.
Oh. August 23rd, I met with the director of North Woods Wellness Center and received an update, and we connected on concerns from the public. August 24th, I met with Urban Systems and touched base on different things we have happening or coming up in our community. I'd like to give a big thank you out to Urban Systems, who generously donated to our food bank here in Pooscupie during the fire department barbecue, when they heard that our food bank was struggling. So a huge thank you for all the food that they donated to them. August 24th, I held a public coffee talk and met with residents in the community. I didn't quite get the turnout I was hoping for, but I will take that as a positive sign. So a big thank you to the Pooscupie Public Library for allowing me to use their space. August 25th, I attended a meeting with the Minister of Agriculture with the Peace River Regional District. This is an amazing opportunity to hear from the Minister and the Cattlemen's Association regarding many of the issues local farmers are facing this year with the droughts and fires. So it was a great opportunity to show our community support. August 28th, I had a telephone meeting with Mayor Dover of Dawson Creek, and we connected on transits, droughts, hospital, and the OPS Center update. August 31st, I attended the BC Rural Health Network Initiative with Councillor Wall. So it was a great opportunity to talk on some of the health issues in the region and lend our voice to the initiative. The data should be compiled and released to the public in the upcoming months, so I'll let you guys know when that goes out. August 31st, I attended the Dawson Creek Water Treatment Facility tour. A huge thank you to the staff out there. They did such an amazing job answering our questions, and I found the tour very informative, so a huge thank you to them. And on September 5th, I attended the Pooscupie Food Bank meeting, and I've begun working with the board to help bring in members and help with volunteers. So I'm just sort of lending a bit of my youth and ambition and hyperness to their board to help them out. Just a reminder to all of council and the public,